Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Why can't we just be a team where they say what's going on? The guy's going to play quarterback the last game. He isn't going to play quarterback. You talk to our coach. There's nothing wrong with him. They talk to him. He goes, I don't even know what's going on. Come on. Why can't we ever just be a team where they say what's going on? I know one thing for sure. If we had Baker Mayfield, we wouldn't be having this problem. And I've said that before. And one more thing about Andrew Berry. Why did we sign Cade York back and then give him away and then bring in another kicker? Where's our real kicker? I don't know what's going on with this organization, but I'm getting fed up with it. It's really sad. Take care, guys.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Fred, we'll get to the Browns and their information in a minute. Relative to the Watson trade, the reason you had to make the Watson trade was because John Dorsey kicked the number 1 overall draft pick and made Baker Mayfield pick. Think about it. You could have had Josh Allen. You could have had Lamar Jackson. You ended up with Baker Mayfield. So you had to make the trade to try to get a quarterback. The other thing that I would say, Cade York wasn't going to make this team. So he turned a guy that you brought in into a 7th-round pick. He's done pretty good maneuvering those 5th, 6th, and 7th-round picks and turning them into things that actually help the team. I'm assuming that you like Amari Cooper. You got him for a 5th-round pick. Berry has notoriously done pretty good things with additional day 3 picks.
Well, exactly, and I don't think he's done. In fact, as we're speaking now with 24 hours before the deadline's official, I can guarantee you he's on the phone, looking. I think I saw Seattle just lost one of their top edge rushers. You might be able to swing a deal, with one of your young guys, move them and get a draft pick. That's what they do is in draft day, they'll move a 7th and a 6th or a 5th to move up a few spots. Or as you said, they'll trade, a 5th or 6th or 7th round pick or two to pick up a veteran who has a contract situation. They traded Chris Williams, who really looked good in the preseason game against the Vikings, with a sack or 2 and a safety to the Bears last week because he wasn't going to make this roster, and picked up a 6th or 7th round pick next year. And these all accumulate. Cade York, who you said wasn't going to make the team, but they were looking at as possibly, a practice squad guy until Dustin Hopkins signed a 3-year extension. That happened after York was signed, so he wasn't going to be around, and so they turned it into a pick. I can guarantee you that they are trying to trade one of their quarterbacks. I would assume it'd be Tyler Huntley, and try to get a 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th round pick rather than just cut him. And I think they're getting calls from teams on Dorian Thompson-Robinson as well. I think they would rather keep him, but I think one of those guys they will try to flip to a team that might have suffered a quarterback injury and get something out of them. So that's what they're doing with their areas of need. And like we said, tight end might be a position that you could flip a player for another player rather than going through the waiver wire. And so there's a lot of strategy involved in it. As far as the Baker Mayfield situation, I mean, it's kind of ancient history. I think he signed his own papers out of town when he threw the coach under the bus and said he wasn't going to play in that final game. And then, when they were talking with Watson about a trade, even though Watson turned it down, he said he wanted out of here. They're not going to put up with that. I think they also realized that they felt they needed to do better at the position. So he wasn't without drama. The last year he played, he played whether he should have or not. That's partly to blame on him. So anyway, there you go.
The thing that's amazing, though, is Browns fans apply the same level of criticism to the drafting of Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall, that you are to the Deshaun Watson trade. The Deshaun Watson trade hadn't been great so far. The Baker Mayfield #1 overall was a horrible pick. You could have had Josh Allen, who's ranked the top 3 quarterback. You could have had Lamar Jackson, who's ranked the top 5 quarterback. You took Baker Mayfield. That was John Dorsey. That's why he's not a GM anymore. And relative to trading
Well,
picks, you're turning them into assets. These guys weren't going to make the team. The Commanders gave you a 7th-round pick because they wanted Cade York. That means if he was on the practice squad, they were going to sign him.
yeah, I mean that's there's all kinds of things, and when, like you said, that was on John Dorsey, and who knows what Andrew Berry would have done, but the move they made was to go get Deshaun Watson. Everything else, it's hard to argue with what they've done in the roster. Yes, there's been decisions, made here and there, but they're going to live and die pretty much on their success at the Deshaun Watson trade. It's pretty much paid for now. You've got all those picks behind you. Now you just owe him money. And and as I've said here before, he just needs to stay on the field. If he stays on the field this year, I can almost assure you his numbers will be as good as Baker Mayfield's would have been, or were in his best year here.